What's good, Kansas City? You're listening to the Benchwarmers. I'm your host/producer, Brad Ross. And always sitting by my side, the one, the only, Ian Yoakum. Ian, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty tired. Been doing a lot of running around this morning, and it's really hot outside. I think we skipped spring, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
It's supposed to be 90 degrees today. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it's already hot, and I had to dress up nicely today, which, by the way, I hate dressing nicely. It's just so annoying. I don't know why so many people like to do it. It's not comfortable, and it makes you hot when you walk outside. It's hot outside.
Why did you have to dress so nicely?
I had a job interview this morning.
Oh, yeah? Where at?
To be a substitute teacher in the independent school district. So, yeah, it was pretty nice.
Cool. All right, well, we got a lot of sports to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Royals, and then at the bottom of the hour, we got our headlines of the news, and then we're going to follow up with the NBA after that. Lots to talk about. Also, don't forget we have a text line, 816-287-0090. If you have any kind of questions or anything you want to say, go ahead and text us. We will read those, and we will answer anything.
Yep, so please do not hesitate. It makes our show better when you guys interact with us.
Yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and start with baseball. All right, so if you did not listen to last week's show, basically I threw my hands up in the air and I said, I give up. I said I lost hope because the Royals were going through a huge slump. Their offense, I think that previous Sunday they had one hit and lost 1-0, and so I was like, okay, I'm done. I wasn't saying that the team had no hope of coming back and winning, but I said I have no hope.
Yeah, and obviously I was saying the same thing. And they had a good week. They had a pretty good week this past week. They won 6 of 7 games, including a sweep of the Baltimore Orioles, who were at the top of the AL East. I don't know if they are anymore. I didn't look at that. But so that's pretty impressive in itself, right? Maybe beating up on the Rays isn't really anything to talk about. But when you're talking about the Orioles, that's a really good team, and the Royals went out there and swept them, including yesterday's game where they were down 5-0.
Anytime you take 3 or 4 from a team on the road,
right?
That's impressive.
You'll take it, yeah. But and that Orioles series though was really impressive, and that's kind of gotten me thinking like maybe, this team can turn it around and they can be competitive. And when you look at the standings, I mean, the Royals they're, I guess, still in last place, but they're not that far back from the Twins. So I don't know. It's tough to say because I don't want to flip-flop so easily and say, oh, okay, I believe in this team again, after 1 week, because I feel like that makes me look crazy if we're just all of a sudden 1 week saying, oh, I give up hope completely, and then the next week saying that, oh, all of a sudden this team is great again. Like, they found their rhythm. Now, I hope they keep it going. I really do. And while I was claiming that I gave up hope last week, I wasn't saying that I was going to stop watching the team. I'm not a fair weather fan. I'm going to continue to be a fan of the team. So I'm going to stick with the fact that I don't think this team really is good enough. I think they're in they're definitely have found their rhythm. They're in their zone right now, and hopefully they can keep it going. But I don't know. We'll see. This was definitely an encouraging week, though.
There happened to be one specific thing that Ned Yost decided to do that kickstarted this whole run, and that was putting Alcides Escobar at the leadoff spot.
How does that always work? I don't get it.
Well, I went ahead and looked at some numbers for the season. I tallied up Alex Gordon, his at-bats and his hits leading off. He's 12 for 68. That's good for a 176 average. Not good.
Bad.
Then I looked at Whit Merrifield. He was second with the most at-bats. He's hitting .094 when leading off. That's lousy.
228 overall, so that's a big difference between leading off and not leading off.
Then you go to the next guy, Mike Moustakas, solid hitter. He hit .227. Not great. He's a .250 hitter this year. And, you usually don't want to use a power guy like him to lead off.
He never belonged in the leadoff spot anyway, so I'm glad that didn't last.
Yeah, but he hit 227. Alcides Escobar, he's hitting 226, so basically as good as Mike Moustakas. So at first when you hear that Escobar is leading off, you're like thinking, oh, that makes no sense. It's bad. It's a bad decision. Well, if he's hitting 226, which is not good, by the way, but if he's doing better than anybody else who's led off this year, then I'm okay with it. And I know the wins are coming in as well, but put that aside. If you just look at the stats, I think that's enough for me to say, okay, let Escobar lead off. I don't want to see Gordon anywhere. He went from the very top, and he's quickly fallen down to the bottom of the order. He's batting ninth now, and he's won for his last 32, I believe, after yesterday's game.
Yeah. I think it rubbed some people the wrong way that one time a reporter asked Ned Yost about batting Escobar leadoff, and then Yost didn't really give any real reason. He just said, there's no real reason. It works. And maybe he knows what he's talking about. Ned Yost is definitely one of those managers that just kind of, he goes based off of his instinct. He doesn't always look at the numbers. I mean, I'm sure as a manager you kind of have to do that because baseball is such a numbers game, and you can manipulate the statistics in your favor as a manager. But I don't know. I don't know what it is about Escobar leading off. Maybe it's not just about Escobar himself, but maybe the rest of the team. Like you said, you gave all those stats for all the other guys who have led off this season. Maybe let's think less about Escobar and maybe about everybody else, because not only are they not batting leadoff, but maybe in a specific order in the lineup, maybe it just somehow gels and comes together and works. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just some absolute coincidence that now the Royals have found their offense this season. I don't know, but I guess Escobar leading off is what this team is meant to have, and it's working.
I still believe, and I honestly believe this deep down inside, that it's just coincidence. Because last year, you go back to last year, a lot of injuries going on, but Escobar, they went back to it. They went back to putting Escobar at leadoff spot. It didn't work. Clearly, it didn't work because they did not make the playoffs, and they ended up putting him back, and it didn't last. So it worked in 2014, worked in 2015, did not work in 2016. But here we are, 2017, and it's basically their last option because I don't know what else they're going to do. Put Soler at leadoff? But anyways, Ned Yost decides to put him there, and they start winning. They've won 6 of 7, and they're really hot right now, and their offense is scoring runs. I mean, they came back. They were down 5 runs the other day, and that didn't stop them from losing. They came back, tied it up, and ended up winning 9-8. That's a game where Chris Young started.
I know, and I thought it was over. Like, he had given up 5 runs, and it looked bad. But then the offense scored like 5 runs in one inning, including a Mike Moustakas home run with the runners on base. It was a 3-run home run that tied it at 5. So, yeah, going back to your point on Escobar, like last year, it not working, I just feel like maybe sometimes it's not always going to work every single time. And maybe there's always going to be a stretch where, injuries happen or what have you. But overall, I feel like it does help the lineup with Escobar hitting leadoff. I still don't know the exact science behind it. And, I mean, I feel like maybe there isn't one. Maybe it just works. I don't know. I mean, I really didn't believe it when Ned Yost said it. I thought it was ridiculous to give that explanation. But at this point, I'm willing to believe anything because the Royals need to win, and they need to win a lot because they've dug themselves a deep hole. And with Escobar hitting leadoff, it has seemed to really spark this offense. So I'm all in on the Escobar leading off train because it doesn't – nobody else can do it. Like, so, sure, why not? Just have Escobar hit leadoff the rest of the year. It bothers a lot of people, but at this point, we're just going to have to accept it.
Yeah, it's been pretty refreshing, and I don't know about you, but seeing Soler, seeing Brandon Moss start to hit these home runs has also been very refreshing, especially Soler. And I'm going to say that just because that he's already started really cold, and we saw that with Brandon Moss, and we saw how long that can go. Like, we're talking a month of, like, taking time to get it together. But Soler cranked his first one out. That pressure is out. Now we can see how he truly is, and we've seen him take a couple walks so far. And then Brandon Moss, on the other hand, he's starting to hit some home runs. And I remember last week how I said home run hitters are overrated because they hit home runs in times that don't matter. Well, he hit a home run that gave him the lead, and I think that's 2 this season out of his total that have been for the lead. And so I think that's also pretty exciting, you know. This
That's
team's
clutch.
starting to hit home runs again. And then we saw Mike Moustakas, you said. He hit a home run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that just going back to the Soler home run, that was just a mammoth shot. I mean, that he showed off on that home run what kind of power he truly has. So there's a lot of power on this team, and I was worried that the Royals were just making a mistake switching to more of a try to hit home run power type team because it wasn't working most of the season. I think this team really is just meant to be just keep the line moving mentality. I think they're meant to have that. So we'll see over the course of the season if Soler can get it going, if he can start hitting home runs, if Moustakas can get back into the groove that he was earlier in the season, if Perez can find that again. And then Hosmer and Kane, if those guys can keep getting on base. Hosmer, all of a sudden, like we were talking about how bad he was.
How disappointing he was.
Yeah, disappointing. I mean, bad, disappointing. I guess they're different things, but he was playing awfully. And now, all of a sudden, he's hitting 298, which is that's a pretty good number. I mean, it's maybe not worth $100 million. So if he wants that contract, he should still, keep going and do a little better. But yeah, I mean, and Bonifacio is kind of he's gotten a little cold since his hot start, but I still think he can improve. Merrifield, he can improve. I think he has potential to be a really good player. So his numbers don't look great, but I think he can get better. I think this team definitely has a chance. I'm just not going to get my hopes up too high until this lasts a little longer than a week. Give me 2 or 3 weeks of the same level of play before I really start to buy into it.
All right, and this kind of brings us to our little new segment we have on the show. I think maybe this can be a monthly thing. Maybe the first or second Monday of every month from here on out we could start doing this. But basically, Ian and I, we've made a list of power rankings. We're going to rank our top 5 Royals players and then our bottom 3. All right, so I'm going to go ahead with my number 5, and then you can go with your number 5.
All right.
So first up on the list, number 5, I put Joakim Soria.
Oh, interesting. All right.
And I guess I should say before I list these guys off, I took into account expectations and basically what they've done this year compared to last year as part of my power rankings. So the reason I put Joakim Soria, he had a bad year last year. And there is so much hate going around, and there's a lot of pressure for him to come back and improve and really earn the money he has. Well, I think he's done that. He has a 2.04 ERA so far, and he's pitched 17.2 innings, which is second among our bullpen. I think he's been reliable. I know he had that blown save, but that was one issue. He didn't let it affect his next starting, his last outing.
Yeah. Okay. That's understandable. He didn't make my top 5, but I almost had him there. As far as what I went with my power rankings, I just kind of did everything all together. I didn't really make it an exact science, but I just kind of took everything into consideration, how good they are overall. But I think I put like this year's performance. I made that the main thing, like the main whatever you call it. The main reason they're in their spots that they're in. So
of course, that's what I did. I just take into account expectations a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe we kind of did the same thing then. But anyways, my number 5 is Eric Hosmer. He almost didn't make this list, but he's definitely turned it on recently, and he's become the hitter that he's supposed to be. And hopefully the hitter that he will stay throughout the rest of the season. So he's my number 5.
He didn't crack my top 5, and the main reason is I know he's been hot lately, but because the season isn't just what happened lately, it's been the whole year. He's not quite there yet for me, but he's certainly on his way.
Well, hold on. If you look at it that way, though, he's hitting 298 with, 3 home runs, which isn't a lot, but 15 RBIs. I mean, I don't know. Even if you do take into account the entire season, I think he at least is in consideration for the top 5. But I would understand putting somebody like Soria over him.
9-game losing streak. He wasn't there. I'm going to take that into consideration.
A lot of guys weren't there, though.
Number 4, Lorenzo Cain. He's also been hot lately, but I think he's definitely been more consistent. He's got the 305 average, which is great. But the reason I put him at number 4 was the 10 stolen bases and the 20 walks he's had. His on-base percentage is 404. And when you have an on-base percentage like that and you're stealing bases, you're definitely helping this offense. That's why he's my number 4.
Okay. My number 4, and maybe this is low for some people, maybe for most people, but I put Salvador Perez at 4. I didn't have him higher. I can understand having him higher, but I just don't think his bat is good enough at this point. I think while he is hitting 283, 7 home runs, the power hasn't come lately. He kind of, and I know it's overall in the season, but he kind of had more home runs in kind of the first part of the season, and then that's kind of tailed off. If I'm going to put him higher, I kind of want to see more home runs for him because I think he's capable of it. So, I don't know. We'll see, but I put him at number 4, and he's that high because of his defensive abilities. Obviously, he's the best defensive catcher in the game, in my opinion, so he's number 4.
Yeah, obviously his defense is great, but he's not in my top 5, and that's mainly because of his frustrating at-plate appearances where he's constantly striking out, constantly swinging at anything. He's going to have to improve on that if he wants to crack my top 5. Number 3, Mike Minor. I think he's been a huge surprise in the bullpen, considering his injuries in the last 2 years and not playing. He's been great this year, a 2.21 ERA. He's pitched the most innings out of the bullpen, been very reliable. He's my number 3.
All right. I actually did not have Minor in my top 5 just because I just want to see more of him, so I left him out. But he has impressed me. He's been pretty good.
Joaquin Soria, Mike Minor, they've allowed a total of 0 home runs this year.
That's good. You do not want home runs from your bullpen, definitely. But number 3, and this may be a bit of a surprise, but I put Danny Duffy at number 3. I know he's had some struggles this season, but I still think he may ultimately be the best pitcher in the starting rotation. Either him or another guy that'll probably be in our rankings coming up. But he's still a really good, really solid, reliable starting pitcher overall. He's got a 2-3 record, 3.38 ERA. He's capable of better. I think he can get that ERA closer to 3, but I know to me he's an ace. He's a solid pitcher, and I think he's going to get better as the season goes on. Not that he's not already really good, but Danny Duffy's my number 3.
All right, Danny Duffy was my number 6. He was the one that barely missed a cut. He's been good, very good, but he hasn't been great. And when you take expectations into account, little disappointing here and there, but overall he's been a great player. Mm-hmm. Keep doing what you're doing. You're going to crack my top 5. All right, so at number 2, I switched up to music because this is it. These are the top 2 guys.
All right.
I'm sure, I have a feeling we had the same guys. I could be completely wrong.
I know for a fact one of yours is not the same.
Number 2, Mike Moustakas.
Ooh. Okay, my number 2 is Lorenzo Cain.
Okay.
I put him higher.
So we're right idea there.
Yeah.
Reason I put Mike Moustakas number 2, I know he's got a 250 average, but like I think about Eric Hosmer and Salvador Perez, you can't read into that average too much this early. I know it's not technically early, but it's easy to get that up and down. The reason I put him there is because he's had 9 home runs, obviously, and he's second on the team with the RBIs at 18. Most notable reason why he's at number 2, though, is because he's been a consistent power and a consistent 250-ish hitter. When this team was in a run drought, he seemed to be consistent. He was there, and that's why he's my number 2.
Yeah, I feel like he just kind of trailed off a little bit. He was almost there in my top 5. I considered him, but I just want to see more of him. Although I understand the number 2 ranking, and let's not forget he's a really good defensive third baseman as well. So, but Lorenzo Cain is my number 2. Just things you mentioned before, the on base percentage. He always seems to get on base, whether it's walks, whether it's getting the big hit. He's not going to be a huge home run guy, but he always manages to come through. He gets on base. He belongs near the top of the lineup, and he's a great defensive center fielder. Has amazing strides to get to the ball really quickly, run it down. Can make amazing catches at the wall. So he's one of the guys that I'll definitely miss the most out of that core guys. We know a few guys are leaving. Kane could be one of them, and I don't know. I think the Royals will miss that defensive ability as well as the bat.
Yeah, so obviously Lorenzo Cain's been very important. Coming in at my number 1, and probably your number 1, and everybody's number 1 of any team, their number 1, Jason Vargas.
Yep.
He's got the 1.01 ERA. He's 5-1 in his 7 starts. He's just been great. He's been reliable. He's going deep in the games, and he's giving you what you want.
Yep, and he's got hitters fooled. He's never like sticking to the same spot in the zone. He's always switching it up. He's got his hitters frustrated. Like I don't know, just the way he's on the mound and the way he pitches, he looks so confident and so in control. He's figured something out. I don't know what it is. Over this time that he was out due to the injury, he really figured something out. He really worked out, and he's an incredible pitcher. I don't know. I don't even know what else to say about it because I didn't expect this because he was like Woody from Toy Story. He got put up on that shelf. Yeah.
Everybody forgot about him, and he thought, oh, Andy's going to move on for me. Well, no. Ned Yost did not move on from Jason Vargas, and he got it together. He got his arm patched up. Been amazing.
Yeah, and it's not like he was ever this great before. Like, he was a pretty decent, reliable starting pitcher, but he's pitching like he's going for the Cy Young. Like, I hope he gets it. That would be an incredible story. It's hard to believe that he would keep up a 1.01 ERA, but it's not going to stay that low. But, man, if it wasn't for that one start in Chicago against the White Sox, just imagine what his numbers would look like, because in that series, in that game, like, he was rocked, and yet his ERA is still really low. That's really impressive to me.
If you ask the fan and me, I hope he does keep it up, but I hope he doesn't win the Cy Young Award. And the reason being, I hope Danny Duffy, sneaks in and steals it.
Right.
But if that's the case for the season, where two guys are going at it and on the Royals, and they're both Cy Young nominees, and that's a good season.
Oh yeah, please no fire sale, getting rid of all your top guys. I don't want to see Vargas go. Don't want to see Duffy go. Especially Vargas. Like, that's, if the Royals go back to struggling and not winning games, and they have to trade away their guys, Vargas is going to be the first to go. And right now he's my favorite Royals player. I do not want to see him go. The Royals need a pitcher like that who just goes out on the mound and just stares the hitters right in the eye and just mows them down like he's not even trying. Like, it's really fun to watch.
If they do end up selling everything, I would actually disagree. I think he should be the first one to go, but that's for a different...
If they end up selling. I'm saying I don't want to see him go.
Well, of course. Anyways, now we're going to do our bottom three. I queued the music off because it's no time to party. It's no time to celebrate. These are who we think are the three most disappointing, three worst players on the team. I guess we'll start with our third worst.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with Cuthbert.
Oh, same here. I got Cuthbert number 3, which I like Cuthbert a lot. I thought he was, I thought he was going to be pretty decent this year in the chances that he had to play. Obviously, he got a lot of playing time last year when Moose was hurt. But I thought Cuthbert would make the most of his opportunities this season.
Yeah,
and he hasn't.
He's currently batting 130, and that's something you don't like to see. He just hasn't been very usable.
Nope.
And you think with Mike Moustakas possibly leaving next year, this is the guy to step up. Well, he's clearly not showing that he can step up. I know he hasn't had at-bats every game, but still, you want him to see him shine in those moments and prove to you that he can be used.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he hasn't had the at-bats every day, so he's not able to get himself into a rhythm. So I think he's going to be fine for the future, but for right now, he's really stinking it up.
All right, number 2, I'm going with Chris Young.
Same here, number 2, Chris Young.
The reason I put Chris Young at number 2, second most disappointing guy on the team, is because I feel like I'm one of very few people who actually think that Chris Young can make a comeback and be an actual fifth starter. He's had 2 opportunities to do that. It's not happening.
It's
and
not.
I think after the first start where he was horrible, that Ned Yost would say, okay, I need someone else for Sunday. Well, he decided to put him out there again, and I didn't have too much problems. But now it's just not working. He might not even be a reliable bullpen guy.
Yeah, he's getting old. He doesn't have the stuff anymore. I feel like maybe he could retire after this season, and I kind of want to see him go. You never want to, see a guy who really wants to play still be forced into retirement. But at this point, he goes out, he has a bad start, and then the camera shows him in the dugout after he's, been replaced, and he just looks so defeated, like he can't figure it out. He doesn't know why he keeps giving up 5, 6, 7 runs a game. I just think it's time for him to retire. I mean, I hate to say it because I really like Chris Young, but he can't do it anymore.
Great guy, but unfortunately that doesn't help you get higher in the power rankings.
Nope.
Okay, number 1, most disappointing guy of the year and last year. I think it's safe to say Alex Gordon.
Alex Gordon, interesting.
The reason I go with Alex Gordon, he's batting 152. You combine this year and last year, he's batting somewhere around 180, or maybe it's not that low, but it's low. That's all I can say. And it's just been disappointing watching him go out there, watching him strike out. He does get some walks, and that is something to grab onto. But this isn't what you paid for. This is not what you spent all that money on so you could have him retire in Kansas City with one of the worst slumps I've ever seen. This guy needs to get it together. I don't know if he can. And every time he goes up to bat, I feel better when Brandon Moss is up to bat. I feel better if they called up Mondesi and Mondesi laid down a bunt. I'd feel better with that than with Alex Gordon going up there. And he was doing bad all year. But recently, that 1 for 32 stretch, that's been horrible.
Yeah. I didn't put him in this bottom 3 just because of his defensive ability. I feel like he's still a great outfielder. Has a great arm. He can make incredible catches. So I didn't put him in the bottom 3 just because I felt like just from that perspective that makes up enough for his awful bat by I guess just being a great defensive guy. But no, my number 1 is Travis Wood because he's been absolutely unreliable. He's been awful in the bullpen. So he has the highest ERA on the team, 11.91 with 11 innings pitched. That's enough of a sample size. He hasn't been getting it done.
Yeah, he's definitely at the bottom for sure. I'm sure if he keeps it up, he'll sneak down there. Anyways, that was Ian and I's power rankings for the Royals players. Maybe we'll come up with a fun, catchy name for this segment, and we'll do it again next month. Anyways, we'll take a quick commercial break, but when we get back, we got the headlines of the week.
Hey, this is Sid. Listen to my Mega Music Hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 3 p.m. K-Roo Student Radio, UMKC, Kansas City.
churros like Kirksey, Corver, Agent Zero. With Lee, Leathers, and O'Connor, the other team will be a goner. They play basketball at UMKC, all while earning a college degree. And number 33, my man Brad Reed, is the center on my starting team. Tune in for all your sports coverage on K-Roo.
Hey guys, this is Casey. Make sure you check in every Wednesday from 3 to 5 for my show, The Ox. I'll be playing tons of great new music, so you can hear it first on K-Roo.
Hey guys, this is Lindsay. Listen to The Lindsay Show, Mondays 4 to 6 on K-Roo.
You know, K-Roo listeners, I love you, and I love rock and roll. And if you love rock and roll, listen to Archive 59 with me, Brian Will, from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday nights, only on K-Roo.
Tune into K-Roo March 9th through the 12th for all of your Summit League tournament coverage.
It hurts my feelings when you don't listen. If you don't listen, I will hurt this puppy. Think about the puppies.
What's up? This your girl Aisha, aka DJ Retro from E&J Show. Tune in at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I slap a little bit of this and that. You listen to K-Roo.
Heart Stars and Horseshoes, Clovers and K-Roo. You're listening to K-Roo, student radio.
I feel the need for K-Roo.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to K-Roo every once in a while, you might miss it. You're listening to K-Roo, student radio.
The program you're listening to is sponsored by the UMKC College Republicans. The views and opinions expressed do not reflect those of K-Roo Student Radio.
Are you going on a wild road trip, hosting a dance party for one? Or are you stuck in your dorm wondering how to tie your shoes? Look no further. Listen to Hop and Jams with Laura Hop, Wednesdays and Fridays at noon to hear some groovy tunes fit for any of these situations.
I hate to say this, guys, because he's normally an idiot, but Rand Paul may be right on this one.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Let's hope they find all the good acorns on the Democratic side of the aisle.
I'm not asking them to be Democrats. I'm just asking them to not be Republicans.
All right, listen, here's what it is. Tune into All That's Left, the best liberal show on the air, on K-Roo, every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. That's Central Standard Time, the best standard time. And here's what I'm going to do for you. If you listen, we promise not to put your grandma on Obama's death panel list. So listen.
K-Roo is having fun every Monday at Mike's.
We all agree that Helen Mirren is sexy. You've got to choose someone else.
You're dumb.
Just a random set of balls hanging through a wall or something?
That's how, folks. Join us every Monday from 6 to 9 at Mike's Tavern at 5424 Troost for Mike Dip Mike's here on K-Roo Radio.
welcome back from that quick commercial break. Text line 816-287-0090. We have a texter from the 816. If you could have one Royals or Chiefs player in the studio as your guest, who would it be, Ian?
I think the answer is obvious. It's got to be Patrick Mahomes, right? He was just drafted, and he's the new guy in town. He's the future quarterback, and he's an interesting interview. So I would say have him on the show.
Obviously for the Chiefs, yeah, you want to get in there early before he even starts his career and make him become a friend of the show, so maybe he comes in every week.
That would be awesome.
A weekly segment.
Let's do it.
With Patrick Mahomes. Okay, I'll go ahead and email Andy Reid and see if he responds back.
I was just going to text him.
Oh, okay. Anything works. For a Royals player, I don't know. That's a good question. I'd probably bring in Salvi. I think he'd be the most fun interview.
Oh, that would be fun.
Assuming that, these mics are good enough to pick up what he's saying.
Yeah.
He can be a fun interview, but he can also be a little confusing.
And if not, if we didn't understand, it'd still be... I think it's good publicity for us. And we'll just have him posted on social media. Hey, guys, listen to the Benchwarmers on K-Roo Radio. I think that'd be a pretty good publicity for us.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. A little bit. All right, anyways, now, once again, 816-287-0090 if you would like to text us. Any question, we will answer. But for now, it is time for the headlines of the week.
All right, headlines of the week. We do it every week at the bottom of the hour. Let's go ahead and start. First headline of the week, Missouri lands 2017 four-star center Jeremiah Tillman over Kansas and other schools.
Over Kansas and other schools. Now, yeah, that's a pretty good recruit. He's a four-star athlete, and it was speculated all along that he was going to end up choosing Missouri, so it's not a shock, but it's nice that it's now official. And that just increases Mizzou's chance of making a surprise run in the tournament.
Yeah, it's exciting, because Knox passed on Missouri for some reason and went to Kentucky. But fast forward a week later, it's okay. We still got recruits coming in. Michael Porter Jr. isn't done yet.
He's saving this basketball program. He really is. I mean, it's crazy.
Chiefs rookie quarterback Patrick Mahomes was robbed at gunpoint on Friday. He was unharmed, and the suspects were taken into custody. This just broke this morning. At least I got the notification. But that kind of puts a little fear in your heart, Gets your heart beating a little bit because he just got here.
Yeah, I know, and that's a scary situation to be in. So good thing nothing happened. And, man, I just... If you're a professional athlete, you got to watch your back. Supposedly in the article, they said that the robbers didn't know who they were robbing, but somehow I don't really believe that. If they knew it was Patrick Mahomes, they knew he had a lot of expensive stuff on him. And so, thankfully, all that stuff was recovered. But if you're Patrick Mahomes, watch your back. If you're out in public or anywhere, you've got to really, watch what's going on.
I don't remember exactly where it happened, but it was somewhere an hour away from here in the middle of nowhere. So it was I'm assuming a small community. But you're right. I mean, if the star quarterback goes to any small town, he's going to be the biggest thing there. I'm sure that the people knew who he was.
They had to have known if it's in that location, and maybe they just drove out there and knew specifically who they were targeting. So who knows what was going on in this story, but thankfully he was unarmed and the robbers were taken into custody. So I'm glad when that happens, because when you get robbed at gunpoint and then the guys don't get captured, that's probably the most frustrating thing. So thankfully they were captured.
On Friday, the Wizards managed to force a Game 7 against the Celtics. That game, it's now tonight. Game 7. You watching?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I I have to be at work in the morning, and I don't know if the NBA is worth my time there. And besides, neither of those teams are winning the finals anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I'll have it on in the background. Obviously, I'm going to have to play Madden at some point tonight.
Of course.
It's been our new interest over this past weekend. I can't stop playing it. And so far, Ross Bradford, he's had a disappointing start to his career, but hopefully he gets it together.
Yeah, your player name's Ross Bradford. That's your
Yeah, I always thought that if I got it. Okay, so there's different fields here. If I ever became famous as an athlete, I would go by Ross Bradford. If I ever became famous as an author or an artist, Bradford Ross. It's just the way I see it in my head, and that's the way I go when I play video games.
Brad Ross.
Nah, I like Ross Bradford.
No. Okay.
All right, so ESPN has released their Week 5 power rankings for the MLB. After a week where the Royals went 6-1, the team has only moved up to the 28th spot, one up from last week.
I guess they don't believe in the Royals yet. That's only one spot. I thought they were number 30 last week.
Last week they were 29.
Unless I must have been looking at another power ranking then. You said this was ESPN's?
Yep.
Yeah, 28. I'm not going to argue it. It's hard to argue it. The Royals.
I would definitely argue it because I looked at the teams ahead of them, and the Royals, like the next 5 teams, the Royals already have the same amount or more wins than them. And the fact that they're so hot right now, I thought that's what the power rankings were all about. So,
who knows? I mean, their power rankings are so weird, especially in the NFL. Once we get to NFL season, we'll analyze ESPN's power rankings then because they use a ridiculous formula that makes no sense. So maybe they're doing the same for baseball.
Yeah. All right. So Madden, speaking of Madden has announced that Tom Brady will be on the cover of the Madden NFL 17 game. Tom Brady's response to the Madden curse. He made a video where he broke a mirror with a hammer and then he walked under a ladder, basically saying that the curse has nothing on him. What do you think about him being on the cover, and what's your response to hearing about the Madden curse?
Okay. Well, as far as Brady on the cover, I guess it makes sense, but why do we have to have Patriots on the cover in back-to-back years? Last year is Gronkowski, now it's Brady. I mean, come on. And also the Madden curse, I mean, obviously it's not a thing unless the NFL was scripted and whoever's on the cover gets, injured or has a bad year. So it's obviously a coincidence, but I don't know. If Brady has a down year, I'm not going to wish injury on anybody, but if he has a bad year, that definitely helps the Chiefs' chances because, in my opinion, that's the only team that's stopping the Chiefs from going to the Super Bowl. So I'm rooting for the Madden curse.
Yeah, that would be awesome, but I don't believe it. I remember I had a Madden 2012 or 2013 where Calvin Johnson was on it, and then he went on that same year to break the NFL record in the amount of wide receiver yards. So
here's the thing, though. He retired. He ended up retiring early. Maybe it was like a delayed curse because he retired really early.
Well, I mean, fast forward 50 years from now, Tom Brady dies,
That's not the same thing.
Was that a delayed curse?
Tom Brady's going to die one day. Calvin Johnson retired early like Barry Sanders.
You don't know that.
Okay, that's true.
There's some elites out there that you question, like Kobe Bryant and Tom Brady. Will they die? I don't know.
I think they'll die.
Maybe we can make a bet for another day.
We'll bet on whether or not they'll die.
All right.
Good. For the chair.
So the last headline of the week, and probably the dumbest and the stupidest and the most reoccurring headline of the week.
Right.
LeVar Ball
idiot.
said in an interview that he, quote, don't need advice from Kobe Bryant when asked about seeking help from the former Laker great. Hearing that, to me, is just another red flag from this guy and his family. I don't want anything to do with it. I said it last week. I'll say it again this week.
No, I mean, he doesn't want to hear from Kobe, who played for the Lakers, but he's so set on Lonzo becoming a Laker. So what? Well, I just don't feel like those two things should be going together.
Yeah.
Laker great versus you want son on the Lakers.
He won't stop. He literally said he's not going to shut up until his son's a Laker. Yet at the same time, most arguably the best Laker of all time, if you ask me, or at least in the top 5 of everybody, that Kobe Bryant's one of the greatest players of all time. Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm good. I don't want to hear anything you have to say. And to some extent, I can understand that, and I can be behind it. But the way he said it, and to who he said it to, I mean, you can always get advice from anybody. You could go on the streets and bump into a random person. They can give you some kind of advice. And the fact that Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest to ever do it, played 20 years in the league. Oh, I'm good. No, that's not okay. You know what? Go to the Lakers. I don't care. I'm no longer a fan of them. So.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a mess right there. The whole Lonzo Ball, LeVar Ball thing. I'm curious when Lonzo becomes 40 years old. Is his dad still going to be doing everything for him, talking for him, doing all these endorsements for him? How is that even going to work? Even when he's 30. Really?
Yeah.
Lonzo's he can fend for himself at this point. He's an adult.
I saw this saying on a Snapchat story or whatever they call it on Snapchat, where they update it every day with the headlines, really cheesy headlines. But anyways, they did a comparison between the Ball family and the Kardashians, and they're saying basically that the Ball family is going to be the Kardashians of the NBA. I thought that was a really pretty good comparison, but you look at the success of the Kardashians and their $1 million making industry within that family itself, and then you look at the Balls and they're selling a shoe for $495, and I saw somewhere that they actually made $200,000 or something like that from the shoe sales, which
it's insane. People are that stupid. Why? Why would you buy those?
I don't know. For one, I've talked with some friends. They think it's an ugly shoe. I don't want to be biased because I don't like them and say it's ugly, but it's not that great of a shoe. It's just black, and it's kind of boring. I like a shoe with a lot of color. If you look at my Kobe's that I've bought, they're pretty bright colors.
I'm going to... Let me search the shoe to get a better look. Okay.
It's not that great.
It really isn't.
And for $500...
No, I mean, I wouldn't spend more than... I don't spend a lot on shoes anyway, but I wouldn't spend more than $30 on those.
Speaking of shoes, I went shoe shopping this weekend. I spent about 4 hours going to so many different stores. I can't find anything. I used to be such a sneakerhead and go to Foot Locker and get expensive shoes. And then one day I just had an epiphany. I was like, this is stupid. I need to stop. But now I don't want to spend $50 for a shoe. And I don't know. I might have to hit up some yard sales.
How about this? A question for the text line. If anybody texts in, how much money would you be willing to spend on either Lonzo Ball's shoes or just any shoes? Text us 816-287-0090.
Honestly, if you ask me how much I'd pay for them, I'd do $20. If I saw them in the store, I'd pay. No, I wouldn't, because I don't want to associate myself with that brand. I would pay $0.
That from that perspective, yeah. If I had no idea that they were associated with Lonzo Ball in any way, or LeVar Ball really is the main guy. I don't hate Lonzo Ball yet. I'm sure I'm going to find a reason to eventually. But, just looking at the shoes themselves, they're not that cool looking. So I don't know. And just shoes in general, I just don't see the point in spending that much on shoes. I know a lot of people think they look cool. All the Nikes and stuff. I rarely ever buy Nikes. I have one pair of Nikes that I've ever bought. But I'm a Skechers guy, and I know those don't have a very good rap because they're Skechers. They're just not quote-unquote cool, but they're the most comfortable, so that's what I wear.
That's what I was looking for, too. I was looking for some slip-on Skechers that have no laces, so I can just kind of, slip on, walk out the door, and still look kind of casual. But those things are like $60 and $70. I don't want to spend that much.
Yeah. I have a texter saying $100. Okay. I mean, that you're crazy. Why? Why would you spend $100?
I think in the basketball world, I think definitely $100 for the Lonzo shoes would have been more successful. Definitely.
I think he would have sold more than $200,000 worth. Because, like, see, the thing is, I don't want to spend money on Kobe's either, or LeBron's, or Jordan's. I just don't see the appeal. I really don't. Is it just because they look cool? Do they really help you jump?
I think it's just a way of saying, hey, I spent money.
I'm cool. I have the Jordans.
What are the shoes called again? Lonzo shoes?
ZO2, something like that?
I saw a good point on Twitter. Why are they called the ZO2s? Because it's his very first shoe. You have to throw in the number 2 in there.
I don't remember. I think there's a specific reason. Probably something stupid. Big baller brand, ZO2.
Oh, well.
ZO2 Prime. Oh, they're called ZO2 Prime.
Are those the shoes or the sandals? Or the slides?
It says the shoes called ZO2 Prime, so I guess it's the shoes.
Okay.
I forgot. Oh, he has sandals, doesn't he? I haven't seen the sandals.
They're like slides. It's imagine a very black slide, just like any other slide in the world, and then put their logo on the very front. And then add $200 to the price, and then you got the slides.
Oh, jeez.
We have a little bit of breaking news here. So,
okay.
Yeah, coming out of the NBA, Kawhi Leonard's not going to play in Game 2 versus the Warriors after suffering an ankle injury on Sunday. In case you don't know, they played yesterday, the Warriors and the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs were up by a huge amount, 25 points on the road. Looked amazing, like this might be a series worth watching. Well, they ended up losing the lead. They blew it. Warriors came back and won. And now, of course, when the downfall started happening, that's when Kawhi Leonard got hurt. He had an ankle injury, and they took him out of the game, and then everything went downhill. So that's very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy that the Spurs blew that game. And we could have had maybe a chance to not see the Warriors in the finals, but now the Warriors are probably going to win Game 2. It'll go back to San Antonio, and their only hope is just to take both of those games and then see where we go from there. But otherwise, it's looking like Kevin Durant's going to get closer to getting a ring, which is going to drive me nuts.
I was listening to Fox Sports the other day in my car, and the guy was advocating why he wants the Warriors to win and why he wants to see Kevin Durant prove all the haters wrong. He said he was arguing that they have the most pressure and the hardest road to the playoffs. He was arguing that
most pressure
because of all the expectations and the blah blah blah. Like, to me, that's just a bunch of bull crap. There's expectations. Like, what's that even mean?
I don't know. And why does that make him want to root for them?
You put 4 All-Stars on a team, there's going to be expectations.
Of course.
There's expectations on the U.S. basketball team to win gold. Do they choke under pressure? No. Does that make their path harder? No. I think you could argue that Turkey's path to the Olympics or whatever it is to gold is a lot harder.
Yeah.
And to me, hearing that, no. You know, Canada, they had Steve Nash. They're not going to win gold.
Well, let's see. How big was that comeback they made against the Spurs? Like 30 points?
It was like 25 or 30-ish.
I think they handled that pressure moment well. If they can do that, they can handle any sort of pressure. I don't buy this pressure thing. That's ridiculous. Find another reason to root for the Warriors other than you're just a bandwagon fan.
I think the only pressure, if any, and that the person that has the most pressure out of anybody would probably be LeBron, and that's only because he's trying to be compared to Michael Jordan.
Pretty much. I mean, every day.
If you're the debatably the best player of all time, then sure, there's going to be some pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But that's on you. That's not on the team. That's just on you. But as for the Warriors having the most pressure as a team, that's just silly.
I just think pressure is overrated when it comes to professional sports. I think these athletes they've all been in big situations. They know how to handle it. So I don't buy this pressure thing. I don't think anybody from the Warriors or the Cavaliers feel any pressure. I think pressure is maybe being the Spurs in this series and having a lead and then you just lose it because you collapse under the pressure. To me, that's pressure. I don't know. That's more pressure packed than any situation the Warriors are going to be in at this postseason. I think they've handled the pressure well just this entire postseason overall. So that I just don't buy that argument.
And then when you talk about expectations, like I said before, of course they're going to have the biggest expectations.
Yeah.
Like
why? If a guy says though that's the reason he wants to root for them, I don't get that.
Like if there's a movie coming out and they spent $1 billion on it, there's going to be high expectations. If you go out and get Tom Cruise and George Clooney and Brad Pitt and get Johnny Depp and all these big name actors in it, there's going to be high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no more pressure.
So deal with it.
Yeah, there's no pressure.
I don't feel sorry for the Warriors because they have higher expectations now.
You know what? Actually, there'd probably be pressure on the director, because it's up to him. And so maybe there's pressure on the coach in that instance, especially on Mike Brown since Steve Kerr's out with his surgery.
Mm-hmm. I can get that. Yeah, I can get behind that.
But as for pressure against the players, that makes me upset.
Yeah, I'm tired of seeing the Warriors win. I'm not going to feel any sympathy for them. They're the poor Warriors and their expectations. I'm going to root for them now. No, not going to happen.
Wow. So I just saw this headline. It caught me. Do you know who Antonio Cromartie is?
Yes.
So apparently he's having his 14th child.
Yeah, I knew him as the guy that he started with the Chargers. He was really good for a while. He has a lot of children. Now he's having his 14th.
Yeah, and this is the person who's having the baby right now. This will be their sixth child together. So that's saying that before they met, he already had 8 children.
That's crazy. I mean, it's his life, but would you really want that many kids?
I'm not judging. I'm just
I'm not judging either. Well, I'm just wondering. Like, I'm curious. Like, that's a lot to deal with. I guess he likes having kids, but man, I can't imagine how much work that is. 14 kids.
No, that's definitely a task I do not want to take on. 14 kids is a little too much.
I mean, he has the money, so
that's very
have
true.
at it.
What?
What?
I don't know. You looked at me funny.
Oh no, I thought that was the end of that segment. So
sure, that's the end of the segment, and that's pretty much the end of our show.
Hold on, wait. Our bet from last week. What was it?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
What was that about?
I don't know. I know we had one, didn't we?
I felt like it had something to do with the NBA.
Oh, the Warriors and Jazz.
Oh yeah.
And the
so
Warriors
you should be sitting
right?
in this chair.
I should be sitting in that chair right now.
I'm sitting in a chair, and you should be sitting in it.
I was in a rush this morning. I got in late, and that was about the last thing that was on my mind. So if I seemed unprepared for this show, that's why. Yeah. But the chair next week, how about we just say it's mine?
Okay, it's yours. And then next week we'll come up with a big, bet.
Sounds good.
So that pretty much is going to wrap it up for us here. Thank you to the texter who texted in. We appreciate your questions. They're a lot of fun. Hopefully, Ian's going to text Andy Reid. I'll send him an email. We'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll get Mahomes on the show. Maybe we won't. I guess you'll just have to tune in next week.
I'll message Mahomes on Facebook, see if he wants to get on.
You listen to the Benchwarmers.